What is up, guys? Welcome to the ThinkComputers Weekly Tech Podcast. This is episode 223. This episode is brought to you by Amazon. If you go to thinkcomputers.org/Amazon and happen to purchase something, that gives a little kickback and, of course, keeps the podcast ongoing. Sorry about the delay. Ryan and I got our time zones mixed up.
Yep, time's hard. We'll get it.
Yeah. But what's going on, man? How was your dinner that I interrupted you from?
It was fine. It was just leftovers, but it was Chinese leftovers, so they're like just as good almost the second time. So
yeah, I actually had pizza. Where did we get pizza from? We got Domino's, and Domino's isn't great by any means. Let's just
yeah.
But it tasted better heated up than it did when we.
Oh man, that sucks.
So yeah, do you like my shades that I'm wearing?
Yeah. I mean, it looks pretty
like my look?
So you might need them. Do I like the look? No, but you said you just found them. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah. So I'm moving tomorrow. I'm moving out of this office.
Like no box, just empty.
Yeah, everything's empty and
tubs full of cables.
I found these shades. So I decided to put them on for the podcast. So
okay.
So yeah, but obviously, guys, this week is Comet Lake S launch, or I guess it was. What do you call it? Release? Launch? I don't know what you call it. I guess release. Yeah. Technically, it was already launched May the 30th, or April 30th. So it's released now, so we can tell you about it. We can give you guys performance. I can tell you about some Z490 motherboards, and that's what I've been doing for the past week. I haven't really slept or anything. I've been testing processors and motherboards. So, but for everybody who is in the live stream or following along, if you want to follow us along, we do have our full show notes page that is linked in the description below, so you guys can go ahead and follow along and get all of the information about everything that we're going to talk about today. Mostly Intel Comet Lake stuff, because obviously that's what's launched. So the two processors that we got into review were the Core i9 10900K and the Core i5 10600K. I'll start with the Core i9 10900K first. It is the flagship. It is effectively replacing the Core i9 9900K. It is a 10-core, 20-thread processor. And yeah, I think that it's kind of like
it sounds like you feel like you have mixed thoughts on it.
I do have mixed thoughts on it. I initially was very upset because I saw price leaks of it being $600, and that's just not kosher for me. But it's $529, so it's launching at the same price.
Crackling. If you want to
video or my audio.
Your audio. Yep, your audio's doing that kind of same thing.
I think it's that RTX voice. Let's switch that.
Okay.
Hold on. How is my audio now?
Much better.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I think RTX voice has some kinks that I don't know, because that's the second time we've had that issue with RTX. But anyways, the Core i9 10900K, it's going to launch today. It launched at $529. You could go pick it up. I think it's sold out a lot of places already. But yeah, it's $529, same price as the 9900K, 10-core, 20-thread part. They did change a few things, which I'll go over really quickly. They have this new Turbo Boost Max technology 3.0. So there's actually, with the i9, there's 3 different boosting modes. So there's normal Turbo Boost 2.0. There's this new Turbo Boost Max 3.0, and then there's Thermal Velocity Boost. So Turbo Boost Max 3.0 basically tells the operating system what the best cores are, or the highest performing cores, and it will boost those cores higher than, say, your Turbo Boost 2.0. It's built into the Windows scheduler since a while back.
Is that just a Windows? Is it available like in Linux and stuff as well? Do you know?
I don't know about Linux. They said that it's built into Windows 10 since
Yeah, we've had that for a while.
1609, and Linux x64 kernel since January 2018. So
Okay, cool.
it is there. And then you also have thermal velocity boost. Basically, if you have good cooling and your system senses that that you can go higher, you have the thermal velocity boost, which is the 5.3 gigahertz that you're going to get on this chip. And then there are new overclocking features. One of the cool ones that I think is that you can actually so hyperthreading was always globally set. You either had it on or you had it off. Now you have per core hyperthreading enabling or disabling. That really helps out people who are using their PC as a streaming PC as well. There's a lot of advantages to doing that. More enhanced voltage and frequency curve controls. There's a new version of the Intel Extreme Tuning utility that has a lot more fine-tuned details. So that's something that they upgraded there as well. And then they actually physically changed the processor, which was news to me. So obviously they're adding 2 more cores in the same size per se. So basically what they've done is they've made the die of the chip actually thinner. So it's thinner now, and the integrated heatsink is actually thicker, and it provides better cooling performance. So those are the big changes with the processors overall. If you guys want to see, we got a review kit, so we don't have like the retail sample.
Right.
But it's, it's your normal Intel chip, not much, to say there. We'll get into performance. Basically, it
kind of what we expected. Right?
It beats AMD or the 3900X in gaming. Actually, all the Intel chips beat them at gaming. It closes the gap slightly in multi-core performance. Like the Asus 64 ZLib is a multi-core performance benchmark. You can see right here, it's still behind the 3900X. It actually did beat the 3900X at encoding, not by much, but it slightly did. But like, here's another encoding test. Again, second place, Cinebench, second place, Cinebench single core, it beats it. So it's a better single core processor, and it closes the gap in multi-core. Obviously, the 3900X is a 12-core, 24-thread part. So you kind of have that. But it kind of closes that gap because the 9900K compared to the 3900X, like that gap was pretty big. Here, you don't have it as much. So that is kind of a nice thing. We'll get to our gaming stuff, which I believe is on page 5. Yeah, here's our main graphics test, like 3D Mark beat it's number 1, Firestrike is number 1. Superposition, which is weird, is that both Ryzen processors were faster in that benchmark. But if you go into our gaming tests, all the Intel are like Asus Singularity, Intel, Ryzen.
Right. Even the 5 was beating it.
Yeah. So
out AMD systems. So.
And like I said, at the end of the day, it is going to close that gap in multi-core. It's going to be the better gaming processor. It just is, right? Yep. It's easily going to give you better frames in pretty much all games. It just is. So I think it really comes down to a few things. One, what are you doing with your computer, right? What, if you're gaming 80 to 90% of the time, the 10900K is the best gaming CPU you can buy, and you should buy it if that's your thing. If you're doing multi-core workloads, you're doing video editing, you need super fast storage. Maybe it's not the way to go because you're not getting Gen 4 storage with this. And it's not as good at high-end multi-core workloads as the 3900X. And then the big caveat is price. The price. The 3900X, last time I checked, was $409. This is $529. So that $100 can go a long way in a build, right?
Oh, yeah.
In the chats, they asked, what about the 3950X? Any competition from Intel? There is no competition from Intel because the 3950X is a 16-core processor, which blows the 10900K out of the water. So yeah, like I said, that's just what it comes down to. I think that it is a good processor. Intel is still competitive, and I think the big thing that it comes down to is that Intel is still competitive at 14 nanometer, right? Mm-hmm. Because Intel is on 14 nanometer, AMD is on 7 nanometer.
They've got this thing refined, like as much as you can, right? We're at what, 14 plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that where we're at? So they better be getting, they've probably squeezed as much as they can out of this platform. So it's impressive to see like gains on the same size chips, but yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's the biggest thing I take out of this is like, can you imagine when they do get to 10 nanometer or 7 nanometer or 5 nanometer, what the performance is that we're going to see. But they did the right thing. They added more cores. They gave it better performance boost. I do like it's not just like they boosted clocks and added a couple cores. Some of the different boosting algorithms that I talked about, the upgraded overclocking things that they added is nice as well. And actually the physical change, making it better with heat because you're, again, putting more cores in something that's, what was the highest, that was initially designed for what, quad core? What was Skylake? Skylake was quad core, was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but like I said, as far as overclocking, if you guys want to know about overclocking, all depends on your cooling when it comes to this. I was able to get a 5.1 gigahertz overclock on all 10 cores, and I did that on air cooling. It got very hot, very hot. Wait, what'd you say?
What cooler was that?
The Noctua NH-U12A. I love that overclocking. So easy on Intel too. It's like you just go in and you put the all core to what you want it to be at, and then you just adjust your voltage accordingly, and that's it. But again, if we put like a high-end workload on it, I mean, we were hitting 100 degrees Celsius, so it's not like something that I would recommend. But again, if you have an AIO or other high-end cooling, you could easily do it. There wasn't the issue with VRM that we had previously. A lot of times your VRMs would get too hot. I think all the boards that I have here, the VRM cooling was solid. And secondly, you're not getting any of the stability issue. The only issue you're going to have is heat, because previously 8th and 9th generation, you did have those issues when you were throwing a lot of power at it, or when you were overclocking. It just wasn't that stable. So I kind of do actually like the overclocking. I wish I had a better cooling setup, honestly, to really push it a lot further. But yeah, like I said, it just comes down to what you're doing. If you're strictly gaming, Intel's the way to go. If you're doing multi-core and things like that, AMD is the way to go. If you're doing a little bit of both, it just comes down to what you want and the platform that you want. If you want to go X570, if you want to go Z490, that's kind of what it comes down to. So definitely check out the review. I did a video as well if you guys want to check that out on YouTube. But yeah, like I said, it's a solid processor. We initially talked about like, they're just throwing 2 cores in there. There's a lot more that they did to make it better. Sure. And again, it is competitive at basically double the process. It's 14 nanometer going against 7 nanometer. So that is the first one. And the second one we took a look at was the Core i5-10600K. And this is more of a mid-range processor. And the biggest thing that Intel did here is that on the Core i5 series, they added hyperthreading.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. So previously, Core i5 was a 6-core, 6-thread part. And then obviously before that, it was a 4-core, 4-thread part. Now you're getting a 6-core, 12-thread part. Obviously, they had to do this. Ryzen 5 is a 6-core, 12-thread part. So they definitely had to do it. But I think that is awesome. And yeah, like this part,
pricing's pretty good too. 262.
Yeah,
right?
262 is what they gave us. I couldn't find it online when I finished this review last night. like an actual price. So it might vary, but I think the pricing's good on this one. It competes directly with the Ryzen 5 3600X. You know, and it trades bloods with it. It's basically what I compare it to is it's a better i7 8700K, which again was the flagship 3 years ago.
Yeah,
2 years ago. Was it only 2 years ago?
Yeah, probably 2 to 3 time, like actual time wise, but generations, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good processor. It's solid. It's a good price from Intel. Again, it competes with AMD. And again, if you're gaming, it's a better processor to get for gaming. And when you come to that lower end, it's not so much about multi-core, because if you're doing high-end multi-core workloads or multi-threaded workloads, you're going to get a higher end processor, right? You're going to get a Ryzen 9 or an i9. You're not going to be getting an i5. So this is great for gamers. This is great for people who are building those mid-range systems. You know what I mean?
Single core performance, like you were saying earlier, the 10900, was beating everything out. That this i5 was beating the AMD parts, right? As well.
Yep, and single core performance.
That's awesome.
And again, easy to overclock. It will get a little hot, but not as much as the i9. It's a good part. It's priced well. It's priced over the 3600X from AMD, but it's a good part overall. Yeah, like I said, it's kind of so before we only had Intel, and then AMD came along, right? And then we had Ryzen, and the adoption, and then Ryzen 3000 series came, and it kind of was like, okay, it makes more sense to go AMD price wise, performance wise. With this, we're kind of more even now on everything. I think this launch kind of made things a lot more even, and I like it. I'm not complaining about it. I don't feel that these are priced badly. I don't feel that their performance is lacking.
Yeah, I think the main caveat is to just, understand that you might need some little beefier cooling, and you're not going to get that PCI Gen 4 right now.
Yeah, so the biggest thing with these chips is that, one, they're better at gaming. So if you're strictly gaming, it's a better processor to get. Secondly, they will fall short in multi-core workloads compared to the equivalent Ryzen chips. Thirdly, is that especially the i9 10900K, it will run a little hot if you are overclocking. It's pretty soft. It's like it's normal.
Under stock speeds.
Yeah, under stock speeds, it's normal. You will have to buy a new motherboard for these processors, so they won't run on a Z390. You have to get a Z490 motherboard. And they're pretty, like I said, they're easy to overclock. I haven't had any issues with them. Do you have any other questions about them? About any?
No, I'm good.
I would like to see the i7. It was weird that they sent us an i5 and an i9, not the one that kind of sits in the middle, because I think an i7 is like an i5 is not that it's a low end part, because it's a good part, especially for gaming. It's a really good part, but I think a lot of people that like i7 is kind of like where it's at for a lot of people. So like to see some performance stats on that. But yeah, like I said, they're good processors. And with that, we have Z490 motherboards, which I was very excited to review and take a look at. So the first one that I took a look at was the Gigabyte Z490 Horas Ultra, which basically kind of sits in the middle of the Gigabyte Horas line, pretty much right in the middle. And the biggest thing that you'll see with Z490 motherboards is that you will, like Gen 4 support is built in for the next generation, and that you're going to get 2.5 gig LAN by default. And most of the boards will have Wi-Fi as well, which is kind of nice. So you're getting the LAN upgrade, and you're more or less going to get Wi-Fi. Now, this board from Horas, you guys can take a look at it. It is one of the better looking boards I've seen from Z490 so far. They just kind of like like they just get it with the way it looks. It just, I don't know. For me, I just like their design. I like the way
Yeah, I
they
like that brushed aluminum look. Again, like I'm not a fan of some of the flashier board vendors that put. I mean, yeah, we have the Horas logo here, but I think that's a like stylish enough and modern enough graphic that it doesn't bother me. But yeah, it's a good looking board, and again, I like to just compliment them on their VRM cooling solution as well.
Yeah, so the VRM cooling solution is very cool. Basically, I mean, you have these two heat sinks here, right?
Right.
But they're actually they're like a heat sink you would find for a CPU cooler. They have real fins. And basically that increases the surface area by 300% for better cooling. You see all of these motherboard manufacturers with these massive heat sinks. I mean, these are decent size, but they're not huge and they don't need fans. It's because they've done this. They call this their Fin Array 2.0. But yeah, it does a great job. No issues when overclocking with the VRM cooling or anything like that. It's just, and they look cool to me. Like I'm an old school kind of person.
Because this is what we used to have, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, they're, like I said, they do a great job, and it just looks cool to me for sure. Somebody in the chat said the new MSI Godlike is a beast. It is. I wish I got that into review. I love the Godlike boards. But this board has another interesting feature. Where can I find it? I can't find it. Well, we'll just go up here. So it has 3 M.2 slots, and they're all with the integrated heat sinks. I think they actually did a good job with the integrated heat sinks. The only issue that I did notice is that even if you put a graphics card here, you will have to completely remove the graphics card to get into all of the M.2 slots, which is a little weird. But as I said, this is Gen 4 ready, which means that the top M.2 slots and the 2 top PCI Express slots are Gen 4 ready. So when Rocket Lake comes along, you will get Gen 4 speeds on that. It is kind of weird, though, that you're not getting it across the board. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's a little weird to me. But in any case, this is like I said, this is a great board. One thing I really like about Gigabyte that they're still doing, a lot of motherboard manufacturers have gone away from it a little bit, especially on like RAM slots. Like all the RAM slots are metal reinforced. Your power connectors up top are metal reinforced. Your 24 pins metal reinforced. All of the slots are metal reinforced. It's just a quality thing for me. It just it feels really good. It
seems like that was not a thing, and then it was a thing for everybody, and then either cost cutting or they just kind of have, some people have gone away from it. So yeah,
and it's not even like
continued there.
I don't know if it's a marketing thing that it has better signal quality and it's better. Like on the graphics card, I see it makes sense because you don't have like it helps with stability for graphics cards, but like on memory, it just feels better when you put the memory in and it's metal reinforced, at least for me. You know, but yeah, good board. It has the debug LED, and again, being an old school guy, I just
love it.
Yeah, I like that there.
I wish you could turn them on and off though, like because my board is just got this nice red 40 up in the top corner, right? And it's like if everything's good, I don't need you, but if I would need you, I want you on, type of thing. But that's
it is. I like some of the boards. I know EVGA did it for a while, where the debug LED was your live CPU temperature. That was cool. They did that for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, it's a good board. Another thing that a lot of people might appreciate with this board is that it has, including the CPU fan header, it has 8 fan headers, and they're all hybrid headers. So you know, you can do 3-pin, 4-pin. You can, with their software or in the motherboard or in the BIOS, you can easily configure what kind of fans you have and do all that kind of stuff. So that is really nice as well. One thing I also forgot to mention, and this is more for Gen 4 than Gen 3, but there's actually thermal, I don't know what you call it, thermal tape, or there's thermal pads on both the bottom and the top of the M.2 slots. So that's the first time I've seen it. Typically you see it on the backside of the the heat
Sure, the
sink.
piece that goes on top, yeah.
Yeah, but we have it on the bottom as well, which I actually really like.
Components underneath those, or is it just bare board under there? You know what I mean? Like, are there other components that are under there?
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, yeah. It's just like I said, another thing that Gigabyte has done. You have the Wi-Fi. All of these, I think for Z490, almost every board you get is going to have the integrated I/O shield, which saves lives, I feel. And another new thing with Z490 that I didn't mention is that almost all the boards by default will have USB 3.2 Gen 2. It's part of the chipset. So you won't have, like, that's not an added extra. It's just there now. So previously, Z390, you had USB 3.2 Gen 1. Now you're getting USB 3.2 Gen 2. If that makes any sense. I hate USB naming. But yeah, so a little bit of RGB lighting, a little bit at the top, and then that Horas logo does light up. But it's not crazy in your face or anything like that. It just works, you know? The only issue that I had with this board was with the software, really. The software is dated. I think almost everybody besides Asus, their software is very dated. And two, you want to download one piece of software and then have it download all your drivers and all of your other software. For some reason, the last 2 Gigabyte motherboards that I've reviewed, it shows the update, like it shows my drivers and my software. I click download and it just fails every time. I don't know what's up with that. But this board is $290. It's $300. I don't see it as being crazy, a bad price.
Nope.
Because you are getting the Wi-Fi. The VRM and the VRM cooling is excellent. And then, like I said, all of the metal on the board I think is great. So yeah, so definitely check out that review as well. It's a solid board. So and then we took a look at the ASRock Z490 PG Velocita. We talked about this last week. I did a whole video on this motherboard last week. It is a good motherboard and it's not priced badly. I just feel, at least right now, it sits as the flagship board in the Phantom Gaming line. Okay. And for being a flagship board, it doesn't have anything extra. It has everything that the Z490 chipset will give you. It doesn't have Wi-Fi. It doesn't have any extra. Like, it doesn't have anything that makes me specifically want to get the board. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's just like a standard run-of-the-mill board, right?
It's
like nothing special.
It's a standard board that gives you everything that the Z490 chipset gives you. There's nothing extra. There's like with a lot of boards, you see them add something extra, whether it's dual 2.5 gig LAN or 5 gig LAN, or on some boards 10 gig LAN, or Wi-Fi. This board does not even have Wi-Fi. Or you see them drop in like USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2. That's on a few of these boards. Or you see, other features, overclocking like it's just a basic board. And again, it's not priced badly. I believe this one's $259.99, which is not bad. Mm-hmm. It's just, it does not, there's nothing for me to be super excited about it. Like any board, any Z490 board will give you these features, right?
Right. And more, or possibly more. Yeah.
It does have the fans on the the fans on the VRM cooling. I didn't know. I mean, they weren't really loud, and that's not a selling point for me as fans on my VRM, because you should need it anyways.
Yeah, I mean, if you got other boards that don't need it, I mean, it's just kind of almost a gimmicky piece.
Yeah, again, there was just nothing on this board that really got me all excited. I guess you get 2 extra SATA ports.
I was going to say that looked like they had 8 there and 6
so
on the previous board.
6. You get 6 from the chipset, and you get 2 extra. But I don't need 8 SATA ports. I don't think a lot of people do either. And then they had this very weird this very weird M.2 slot configuration where one of these is Gen 4 and the other is Gen 3. The whole idea is that you either install one or the other. You can't install both.
Can't have like two real short cards or anything.
I mean, I assume you could, but I don't think there's enough lanes to do that either. So that was a little weird, but it makes sense. But it's, and again, you're only getting technically 2 M.2 slots. You're not getting 3 like we've seen on other boards too. It just, like I said, for me, it's just like this is supposed to be, or at least currently is the flagship board in the Phantom gaming line. And when you think flagship board, like you think of an ROG flagship board, or you even think of like any flagship board in a motherboard line.
Should have more than the basics.
Yeah, it should have more than the basics. Now, maybe ASRock is releasing something down the line. We saw that with Z490. Their Phantom Gaming X board had a ton of features. So hopefully they do that. But the board itself was really great. I do like that they're not doing like a plain backplate like so many people, it's just, I don't know. I
do appreciate the colored audio jacks as well. Like that's so nice to be able to just glance back there as opposed to that previous board. They were all black.
Yeah.
Knowing like I'm looking for this green one, and half of the time you're trying to like reach around the case and figure out. So I mean, it's just like those little things, but it's nice to have dual NICs as well.
Yeah, it does have dual NICs, a 1 gig and the 2.5. But yeah, here's some shots of the RGB lighting. I mean, it looks cool, but it's
cool.
Yeah, like I said, it's just for me. I think it could have done a lot more with what it had. It was the only Z490 board that I tested that didn't have BIOS issues in this initially before launch. So hats off to them. And I do like their BIOS. It is so simple, and there's not a ton of crazy settings that nobody needs to use that you see in some other manufacturers. So I gave it an 8 out of 10 just for the fact that I think the feature set is very standard for at least what currently is a flagship motherboard. Now, it's not priced like a crazy flagship motherboard. It's actually the cheapest board out of the ones that I have here. So hopefully they'll come up with, they'll have another board that might launch a little bit later. And I think that would be pretty exciting if they go ahead and do that. But that is it for Comet Lake S launch stuff.
It's exciting. I mean, it feels like we've been talking about them forever, especially like we always laugh about the naming conventions and what do we call it and everything, and leaks here and there. It's always nice to like finally hit that release date and all right, we can get it off our chest, right? Oh,
yeah.
You see,
I needed to take the shades off. I was like falling asleep with them on there. So they're very I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like I'm alive now. It was pretty dark. Yeah, like I said, it is, and the thing is, for a lot of people too, is like it can be a hard sell just for the fact that hopefully the next generation is 10 nanometer. The question for Velocity or Velocita or Tai Chi, I would definitely go Tai Chi. That's just me. I love their Tai Chi boards. Yeah, it definitely is a higher end board. So I love Tai Chi boards. But yeah, it is like, unless you need to build right now. I mean, they said, at least rumored that Rocket Lake would be out by the end of the year. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. Because when was that where they added the 2 core? Was that the 87K compared to the 77K? It was like 6 months later and they added the 2 cores. Mm-hmm. So we might see that with this. And again, you have all the current boards now that will support it. I don't know, but like I said, I think it's a solid launch from Intel. It keeps them relevant. It keeps them competitive because AMD is going to have something before the end of the year probably. So yeah, that's kind of what my take is on it. If you guys in the chat have any questions about Comet Lake, definitely let me know. But yeah, it's been fun testing. It's been a long few days testing all these motherboards.
I know you got quiet for a while. I was like, oh yeah, some products.
I was just like
busy.
I was waking up and testing, and then again, I don't know if you guys can see all this crap behind me. Like I'm moving tomorrow, and that's been a process in itself. And
tomorrow, You got a lot to tear down.
Yeah, after the podcast, I'm tearing down my desk. I'm tearing down the desk behind me. I have boxes everywhere.
Yeah.
It's been a week. I'll say that. So we will go ahead and move on from reviews, and we'll talk about a case mod. This week we have a build called Blackhawk,
yeah,
by Mayhem Mods. And the one thing I like about this build, there's actually a few things I like about this build, but the one thing I like about it is that it uses an AIO. I think that we see so many
you don't see that too often.
Regular liquid cooled builds, and it just uses an iSpare LT from Alpha Cool, and I think it looks good that way. I don't think that it's a bad thing. One thing I do have to say is that Mayhem Mods did a great job. I don't even know if I can find the pictures that we have even really show it, but the chassis that he didn't use, he made this entire chassis with all of the lighting he did himself, with custom RGB lighting. It is excellent, especially this back part with the SSD covers and all the lighting that goes around it. I think it is again, this is 100% custom made. That is very impressive to me. And I actually like that the power buttons, I think these are power buttons, are actually on the side of the case rather than the front. I think that's actually pretty cool. But yeah, just the colors in this, and again, the custom case is what really gets me with this one. And he actually made the graphics card too. That's a complete custom
top.
Yeah. All of it is just really, really awesome. I think it goes together really well, and I think that
it's kind of got that military look to it. I like the texture of that paint and the all the hardware, the hex head hardware all across. Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. I think that just and I like that you can have one color and it kind of gives the case a certain look, and then you just have another color and it gives it a whole different look. Of course, that's what you get with RGB lighting, but I just think it's done really well, and I love the back of it. I love the SSD covers and the logo there and all that. So definitely check this one out. It is, again, by Mayhem Mods. A great job. So definitely check that out in our Case Mod Friday section. Now, because I was so busy, we don't have a whole lot of news this week. We have 4 stories, maybe 5 if we talk about something else. But the biggest one is that NVIDIA did have their press conference no, it was not a live stream. It was not a press conference. It was a pre-recorded videos talking about it. That's what it was. And we got introduced to Ampere. Is that what you want to call it?
Sure. Yep.
Architecture. Nothing on the consumer side, which we expected.
Yep.
Mostly data center AI stuff. I can't really get excited about it until we get.
Yeah, we want the consumer version. But that's expected, I think. And we kind of were talking about that last week of, do you even announce just because of, what's your customers' buying power right now and just sentiment on spending money. So does it make sense to even mention consumer parts? Yeah.
So we have the full post on the site. I'm not going to go into detail in any of it because, again, most of this stuff doesn't really have to do with the consumer side of things anyways. But if you want to, we now that we have it, we know we should get consumer parts, I would say end of the close to the end of the year, holiday, I would say would be a good time for consumer parts. I'm pretty excited about that. So yeah, we have that. And our second story is actually a pretty awesome one because initially we weren't going to get support for it. So AMD Ryzen or Zen 3, Ryzen 3000 series, and Ryzen 4000 series CPUs will work on B450 and X470 motherboards. So
nice.
There is a catch, is that it's the reason it was initially not going to be included because of the ROM size for your BIOS. So once you upgrade your BIOS to support Zen 3 or 4000 CPUs, you won't be able to go back.
Roll it back, sure.
Yeah. So that is the caveat, but I do like it because if you're going to get a new CPU and you want to rock B450, which I think is a solid platform, and you don't need Gen 4 speeds.
Yep, save some money.
Yeah, save some money. B450 is still incredibly affordable. So is X470, and they're great boards. So I think that's cool. It would be very... Customer service is going to suck for all these motherboard manufacturers when somebody flashes something wrong.
Yeah. Bunch of boards getting auto-made.
Yeah. If that's even a possibility at that point. But yeah, it is nice to see it. I think AMD has kind of been on the forefront of making their products compatible with previous generations of motherboards and not having a new socket every generation like we've seen with Intel for the most part. So that is very cool. And then I think this is huge. This is very big, and it has a lot of, I think, political. I think they've done it for political reasons too. Is that TSMC, who makes AMD chips, who makes, do they make NVIDIA? Yeah, they make NVIDIA chips. They make pretty much everything. They're going to make 5 nanometer chips in the United States. They are going to open a factory. Where did they say it was? Arizona?
Let me see if I can find that.
I think it is I think it's going to be in Arizona.
That'll be pretty cool.
But their plan is to have the plant start operations by 2023. 1,600 people at the plant, which would be jobs for people, which is great. I think
2023 seems pretty soon too.
That's very soon. Because they have cash. I mean, they have money to build. So
yeah,
I think it was Arizona.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't look into this at all.
But I think
first paragraph, Arizona.
The cool thing, or not the cool thing, but the interesting thing is, like, obviously you have these political things with tariffs and, being a TSMC being associated with China and that whole thing going on. So having a plant in the United States, chips being made by, United States citizens is very cool. And it's something that I think they kind of needed to do to get it around all this tariff kind of stuff. You think?
Yeah. Maybe showing some goodwill and just having options, right, as well, because you get into a point if tariffs aren't an issue, or there's a bigger trade war where they're not even exporting to the U.S. for some reason, right now. Well, we can't just get new CPUs or new technologies, right? So
yeah. So that is very cool, and it would be cool to see if, like, maybe, like, because it is in the United States, like, we could go see the factory. That'd be pretty awesome.
Be all right.
Yeah, that'd be very cool, I think. And then our last story has to do with Asus, who Asus is the OEM manufacturer for almost all the AIOs that you get these days. Yep. There's only a few that don't use them.
They kind of design their product to get around those patents and design features that Asus has all the patents on.
Yeah. But they announced the industry's first Radiator Card. Basically, it's a slot-in PCI Express Radiator Card. And it's launching on the Alienware Aurora R11 PC. So basically what it is, it looks like a graphics card, but inside is all of your water cooling components. Which, I don't know what your thoughts are on it. I think it is pretty cool. I think it's great for system integrators.
So, some of the angles show it obviously looks like it's going to be a blower style cooler. That's really the only way you're going to get that air pushed out the back.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're doing it that blower style as opposed to like small 40 millimeter fans or something sitting in there to try and pull that air out. So obviously that would be quite a bit louder.
Yeah.
I think it's neat. I'm surprised we haven't seen something like this before, where they've
that's what I was thinking too. I was like, wait, we haven't done this.
Is there a reason we can't do like a? I don't know the measurements of a PCIe or a PCI bracket, right? But is there a reason we can't do a flat radiator underneath your GPU that's like a 90 millimeter radiator with a fan to push air out? You know what I mean? Flatten that against the unused PCI slots. But I was just surprised we haven't seen this before. But it's cool.
And it does make sense so we obviously have graphics cards with built-in cooling, but the bigger issue there is that it's more than likely that the cooling will fail before the graphics card does. So then you have that problem. With this, you can just like unplug it and put it in a new cooling system. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so you get away from that. Obviously, there's already blower style designs out there that push that hot air out of the case. This is another nice feature. You're not exhausting that with traditional cooling solutions, a 2-fan or a 3-fan. They're just blowing cool air over those components, but that hot air that is then generated essentially is just blowing out into the rest of your case, whereas this just moves that hot liquid throughout the radiator and pushes it out the back. That heat's never really even inside the case to warm up other components.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be great, like for companies like Alienware and some of the other, where they have this, because again, this system is very small, and to be able to put a full-length graphics card in there and then effectively cool it where it's not.
Well, I'm kind of surprised they didn't make it just one unit. Why is it 2 cards, right? Could they not design it to just be a single thicker unit and not have that external tubing there?
Maybe just for heat, like you want to separate the radiator from the actual, from the GPU.
All right.
Question: isn't it going to sag? I mean, it could. I think in a system like this, where this is going to be closed up and it's an Alienware,
design something to support it, probably.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if we'll see this on the retail side. Like, I can't buy this for my GPU, at least not yet. This is something that's going to be sold to companies like Dell, and for this type of application. I don't know if we'll see a retail product. Asus doesn't make retail products. They don't, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they sell their designs to other people, and other people make it. So maybe in the future we might see something from another company. But I don't see Asus making this where I can add this to my card. You know what I mean? But I think it's cool. I think that it makes a lot of sense, and it's great, and it makes high performance, small form factor PCs pre-built more efficient, and I like that. So that is it. I know we have one more story. I'm just going way too fast. I'm ready to break down this desk and
tear it down. And go.
Yeah, I did it. I didn't put it on the.
Yeah, you didn't put it in the show notes, but you did mention that you might have a 5th news story.
No, we have 6, but I'll go find the 5th. That's not on the. I don't know how that didn't make it into the show notes. I'm going crazy today. But the 5th story is about Minecraft, actually, which I don't know if I've even played. I think I might have played it years ago.
Okay.
Were you ever a Minecraft person?
The Java version? Oh yeah. My Minecraft server is like still running and available. Yeah.
So anyways, Minecraft celebrated its 11th anniversary, which is crazy to think about. Like in a game lifespan, maybe besides like an MMO, because this isn't an MMO, isn't it? I mean, no.
I mean, you can have a lot of people on there, and it's online, and it's technically not a role-playing game. But yeah, I mean,
but I don't know, the lifespan of a game is not this long, right? And they just celebrated their 11th anniversary. It is the number one last year, 2019. It was the number one game, I guess, shown or streamed on YouTube, which
I believe that.
Pretty awesome there. And they just celebrated selling 200 million copies worldwide. And it was released all the way back in May 2009 as a Java applet.
Yep. I mean, I still run the Java version, right? That's my server runs on, and that's how I prefer to play. I did buy the Windows 10 store version, the Redstone for the RTX.
Yeah, so like I want to try the RTX whenever I get back in my whenever I.
And we've got it on the Xbox. My son, like he was playing last night. So yeah, we still got some Minecraft in the house.
Yeah, it's kind of like a thing, and then you have all those like Minecraft like shows per se, like where people
he likes to watch those on YouTube, and yep.
And then the last thing, today is the last day, I believe, but Grand Theft Auto 5 is free on the Epic Game Store.
Free to play or like
no free? Like
oh wow,
yeah,
it's pretty.
It actually crashed Epic when it was announced a couple weeks ago or last week, I forget.
I'm always surprised when they show like those their most popular like sold games or highest sales, and like that game is always like towards the top of still being sold.
It's one of the best games ever made.
Yeah, oh, it's great. But I'm surprised that they gave it away for free. Like they could. I
think it was a thing. I think we're going to get GTA 6 here before the end of the year, maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong. Probably not actually. With
the year,
nah. But like, I think it's a way to it was a great way for Epic to get more people. I mean, you're giving away one of the best games in the past 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even long. I don't know how old that game is. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it crashed Epic when they announced it. And I was like listening to Spotify, and I don't have a premium. And there was a ad for it, for an Epic Games ad for GTA 5 specifically.
Wow.
But I believe today is the last day, or tomorrow is the last day. So just go into Epic, it's free.
Yeah, I've got it on Steam, so I'm not going to add it to my Epic library.
Yeah, I'm not going to add it either.
But I've got it on the Xbox as well. But
yeah. I really like that game. The one thing I loved about that game is that you played different stories. Like you played the older guy, and then you played like the thug guy, and then you played like the hick guy, like all the
Did we have a news post on this? I don't think we did.
No, we did not.
Okay.
I meant to do it, and then I was testing processors and not sleeping, and that's just kind of what happened.
Yep, no worries.
But yeah, that is pretty much it as far as news goes. Let me go back to the podcast page because I've got to tell you guys what we're coming up next week. I have a bunch of Z490 motherboards that I will be reviewing over the next few weeks. Hopefully, I get set up in my new place tomorrow and we don't have any issues, so I can get back to testing all these. But I'll be taking a look at the Asus Republic of Gamers Maximus 12 Hero. And this is actually the lowest end board in the Maximus line of super high-end motherboards from Asus. I actually have the Maximus Extreme too, but this review is coming first. This board is something to get very excited about. There are a lot of features here. Asus just does, especially with their Maximus line. Like every board, their Maximus line is always great. There's just so much here. They're like pioneers when it comes to the VRM design. There's so much. I
mean, yeah, we're back to the solid VRM design there, right? As opposed to those fins, but at least we have some more surface area with those cuts in there in those cooling blocks. So it's nice to see. But yeah, like I said, very, very solid board. So I'll be taking a look at that one. And another board that a lot of people do like this series is the MSI MPG Z490 Gaming Carbon Wi-Fi. So when it comes to MSI, you have the MAG line, the MAG line, and then which is like their high-end boards. I believe Godlike is in the MAG series. And then you have MPG, which is like the step down. And this is the highest end board in the MPG line.
and it is their gaming carbon. I mean, if you're into that kind of look and all that, and the RGB is actually quite nice on it. It is kind of basic, but they did add in USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 on this. So this has a 2x2 connector on the back, which would be kind of fun to test when if I ever get a 2x2 drive.
Get a drive, yep.
Yeah. I love those little drives. I was like packing up all my drives. I was like, I have so many of these little drives here. Yeah, I have a stack of them. I just sent you one too.
You got one less. You got one less.
But yeah, this is a solid board as well. So I should have both those reviews for you next week, as long as my move goes okay and we get things going there. So that is basically it. Cool. Is there anything that you guys anybody in the chat want to talk about anything or talk about Comet Lake? I know a lot of you guys might have tuned in a little bit later, missed kind of what we were talking about, but
did we? Now, last week, I think I had just gotten, or it was showing up, the Commander Pro. I think we talked about.
You did talk about getting the Commander Pro?
Yep, so I got that hooked up. I'm loving that. Like, I've started using IQ so much more for their dashboard. I never really used the dashboard feature of IQ, but like, I'm addicted to it now.
Yeah.
I've just been trying to, fight some temperature issues, I think, on my CPU. I'd like to get that down a little more. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, you were telling me about that, and I saw your messages, and I was like, I don't have time to.
Nah, you're busy, man. But control those fans better than my motherboard headers is like amazing now.
Yeah, and then, again, there's not a whole lot of motherboard manufacturers that have updated or made a new version of their fan software. Yeah. It's been the same for the past like 3 or 4 years.
I struggle with it I did. Whenever I try to make changes, I'd be like, okay, I've got this dialed in, and then something would change. And one thing that really sucks is like I, pulled my rig apart a little bit to get that in and rewire all the fans and everything. So I have no idea what USB was plugged in where. And so like you unplug everything back in, and then like Windows thinks, oh, look at all these new devices. So like I had to reset up my mic tonight to podcast, because I was like, why is RTX voice like not working with my microphone? I don't, and
no, that's like when I did the RGB build, it was like, because I cloned my hard drives. We talked about that. And then when I started plugging everything in, it's like new devices. Like you have to basically, even if you're cloning your hard drive, you still have to like reset everything up. And
yeah, like why is that a thing? It's the same thing. It's the same device. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's a thing. We both are still on the hunt for a Go XLR. I've looked every day.
I'm gonna like call it a day for a while, because I'm not paying $1,000 for the big one or $500 for the small one. So we
were talking about it last podcast, and I went on.
Yeah, we should have done it.
They had it, and I was like, I'll think about it. And then the next morning, I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy it. I think I was buying it just to make you mad. I was just gonna buy it. I was gonna buy the big one because I don't need the big one, but I was just gonna buy it just to make you mad. And then I was just like, it's no longer that.
Can't even do it.
I think they're just what I'm afraid of, though, is by the time they're available, they're gonna have a new version, and then I'm gonna want the new version. Yeah. So if you guys don't know what a Go XLR is, it's an audio interface that has
so it's got physical and
it has sliders on it to control different inputs, but it also gives you virtual
sound routing, and you can direct the sound from certain applications to certain inputs or certain profiles and sliders. It just gives you so much versatility in routing your audio sources to outputs, and adjusting all those things, plus a bunch of cool little neat features like audio voice modifiers and stuff like that.
I do need this room is, especially since there's like nothing here, I'm sure you guys can hear the echo.
It's pretty echoey. Yep.
Yeah, it's really bad because I don't have any of my stuff in here anymore, so the echo is horrible, but it always was horrible even when I had all my stuff. Then the new place, at least where the living room is going to be my office, so it won't be as echoey. But I've been actually researching some like the acoustic foam
panels and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I might be getting into that, but that's all down the road. I actually have to get there tomorrow. But yeah, like I don't think I've done anything else tech related this week. It's just been Z490 and Comet Lake and
no, you shipped over this too. The
oh yeah,
I sent that RGB Elite, so I'm excited to start looking at that.
Yeah, you get to play WoW. It's yeah.
Right? Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna play tonight. It's either gonna be.
Yeah. Are you gaming tonight?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so everybody, Ryan is gaming.
Yeah. There's going to be more of a delay between the podcast and then, since we
we're
went a little early tonight, but yeah, I'll be on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I did anything.
You can put that on for some background entertainment, Bob. You can have it on the background.
I'll be here breaking all this down. I'm so afraid to break down my desk. It's like hurting my head because it's like
cable managed and
it's cable managed. It's set up perfectly. Like I don't want to take my monitor off my arm, but I have to move. I just put this computer together, and if anything happens to this during like transporting it, I'm gonna freak out.
Just like put it in the front seat of your car.
Yeah, most of the stuff. Like
when I moved, I was like, all right, my PC is riding with me. It's not getting packed up. It's like right here. I'm in control of the situation.
Now, when was the last time you moved?
Like 4 years ago.
Did you hire movers or did you do it yourself?
We did, and I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, I'm like somebody who likes to save money, you know.
I was so upset. Like I didn't ask my wife how much it cost until like we were done, and now, I was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" But
how much? Can you give me a ballpark of how much? You don't have to tell me was it over $1,000?
Yes.
Well, yeah, you have kids and you have like a whole house.
Okay, so I think it was close to $2,000.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did it because I was not planning to do it. I was just planning me and my wife to do it, which would have been horrible because I had a truck, but it was like a mid-sized truck. So
yeah,
with a short bed.
So we have a U-Haul coming, and I just I got a storage unit because we're downsizing and all this stuff, and we got a U-Haul that day to take all the storage stuff. And after that day, I'm like, I'm already done. Like, I don't want to move anything. Like, I'll buy a new $1,000 desk just because I don't want to move it. Like, that's kind of.
You're moving yourself?
Yeah. So we're moving everything ourselves. Just me and Kayla.
I mean,
tomorrow.
They had like 6 people, and we had everything packed up. Like,
yeah.
Ready to go. And they had 6, I think, people working, and like the biggest, moving truck you can get. They did 2.5 loads of stuff, and I was like, I have that much stuff. It's insane.
Oh, you should see how much stuff I've thrown away. And like, I have boxes of stuff that I'm just going to give to Goodwill. Like, somebody's going to go to Goodwill and be like, oh, there's an SSD there, like an awesome SSD that it's just going to Goodwill.
Throw it in a box and send it over, man.
I mean, if you want some older SSDs, and like, I have like just random computer. I have so much stuff.
I just cables and boxes of stuff back there.
Yeah, that box right here is all mice.
I was gonna say, it looks like there's a mouse sitting on top.
It's all mice. So yeah. But anyways, yeah. So the next time I move, I don't care how much it costs. I'm hiring people because I just can't do this. I'm just But yeah, I'll check in with everybody. Hopefully next week, I will be in the new place and you get to see what it looks like. I kind of do like the setup better.
Cool.
Just for sound, I think it's going to be good. And I think I'll make a video probably on the new setup. So we'll have all that for you guys, when all that time comes. But I am going to head out, and Ryan will be on Twitch playing. I get it. He's probably going to play WoW.
I'll see who's online, see what's going on. And
I would love to game. Like, that would just relax me so much right now, but I have so much to do. It is 8:15 p.m. and we're getting our truck in 12 hours at 8 a.m. and I have to break down 2 desks as well as our bed.
And they're not just regular desks. They're what are they called?
Sit stand.
Thank you.
Yeah, motorized sit stand desks. And I'm, at least the white one, my new one, I'm wrapping it as well, so I don't get any scratches on it. So yeah. But yeah, that is it, guys. If you want to watch Ryan, he said there will be a delay between him playing and all of that. So if probably I don't know, half an hour.
Yep, probably about 30 minutes.
Yeah, so he'll be over on twitch.tv/ThinkComputers. Everybody who's in the live stream, you can, of course, see it there. But yeah, guys, I will see you next week, and hopefully I'll be settled in and not as stressed and not as all over the place and not wearing these crazy
shades. Yeah,
I mean, that might be the new thing. I might just wear it for the whole podcast. So,
yep.
All right, guys, we will see you all next week.